Hello, students. Good morning. I am Dhruv Bhardwaj, and in today's session, we are going to discuss a current affairs topic that has been in news recently. Right to walk has been declared as a fundamental right under Article 21. So, students, before moving towards a right to walk, we need to understand that what is Article 21, how does Article 21 evolved over a period of time, what are the key concepts, then we will come about right to walk. So we need to just into the detail of Article 21 before coming to the current affairs part. Okay, so moving forward, Article 21 is given in part 3rd of the Constitution, that is your fundamental rights. Okay, and what does it say? It has a provision of right to life and personal liberty. What does it guarantee? It guarantee to the citizens right to life and personal liberty. Now, this article is available to citizens, not only citizens as well as foreigners also. So these are the key features of Article 21, that it is available to not only citizens but as well as foreigners also. There are certain fundamental rights, students, which are available exclusively to the citizens of our country. So can you name them, those rights which are applicable to only citizens? Article 15, Article 16, Article 19, Article 29 and Article 30. These articles are applicable only to the Indian citizens. Okay. Prohibition of discrimination on the basis of ground, sex, place, birth. Then Article 16 says matters of public employability. Article 19, freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Article 29 says about protection of culture of minorities. Then Article 30 says that under Article 30, any minority can establish an institution like AMU, right to administer educational institutions. So Article 21 is available to both citizens as well as foreigners, right? And this article is known as Heart of Fundamental Rights. What does it mean? This Article 21 is known as Heart of Fundamental Rights. Why it is called Heart of Fundamental Rights? Because it goes beyond mere survival. It does not ensure survival of a person. It ensures that life should be lived with a dignified manner. It should have some life should be lived just not by mere survival but also in a human dignified manner. Dignity of life should be ensured. Then we will go next. What is the subject matter of Article 21? Article 21 says that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. So students, what does it mean? That if government forms any law that can take away someone's life or personal liberty, that is valid, right? So without law, government cannot take someone's life or personal liberty, but to make such law, government has to follow the procedure, right? And what is the procedure in India to make a law? This is just a very basic idea I am giving you. Like, what is the procedure to make a law in India? A bill gets introduced in Rajya Sabha, then in Lok Sabha, right? Then it awaits President node, and if president signs this bill becomes act. Is it clear to you? So Article 21 says that government can take someone's life or personal liberty if it has put a law in place. If it has put a law in place followed by a certain procedure, and that certain procedure is that a bill has to be introduced in Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, and followed by passing in, followed by getting the president assent. Now, when you are saying, just I'm giving you an example of this, I will explain you with the help of an example. For example, the procedure is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and president assent. Just for example, if someone violates parking law, and government has followed this procedure, that a bill has passed from Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, and president has given an assent, and as a result what has happened, that parking law has come, and as a result what does it says? It says that if any citizen violates the parking law, it will be capital punishment. See, parliament has made a law, right, by following a procedure that if someone has violated the parking, then capital punishment has to be given to that citizen. Now tell me, students, that is it fair to award a capital punishment on the violation of parking law? Do you think is it fair? No, it's definitely not fair, right? So when you're dealing with the discussion about procedure established by law, what does court examine? Court examine that if procedure has been followed, we are okay with it. We do not want to go into the reasonability of law, whether the law is reasonable or not reasonable, right? So reasonability test is not checked by courts. Is it clear? Now we know that this parking, for violation of parking, you cannot award capital punishment to a person, right? Because this is unreasonable, right? To correct this issue, there is a concept known as due process of law. And let me clear it. What does due process of law says? That the procedure which legislative wing of the government is following, that is, a bill has been passed from Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and president assent has come, but the outcome, that is law, should be just, fair, reasonable. So court examines. What does court examine? Court examine in due process of law that the procedure should be fair, it should be not be arbitrary, it should satisfy the common sense, right? So as per common sense, if you follow the parking law example, and if you try to understand the parking law with the due process of law, so do you feel that capital punishment as per due process of law is justifiable? Obviously not. So court will strike it down, because capital punishment is disproportionate to the quantum of offense. Is it clear? For parking law, you could award some compensation, monetary compensation like 5,000 fine or more than 5,000, but you cannot award is capital punishment. So due process of law says that you have followed the procedure, that's fine, but the procedure should be fair. What I am saying, procedure should be fair. But in the earlier concept, we saw that court only examined the procedure, and procedure was Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha and President assent. So here in due process of law, courts clearly say that procedure should be fair. Now moving towards the next. We will see that there have been Article 21 is a dynamic part, right? Article 21 is dynamic. Why Article 21 I am saying it is dynamic? Because it has evolved through judicial precedents. There have been so many court cases has been interpreted by Supreme Court, and under which the scope has been widened. Scope of this article has widened. Now, the first case we are going to see A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras. In this case, the constitution took a very narrow view. Narrow view, what does it mean, narrow view? Narrow view means the court said that procedure should be followed. If a procedure has been followed, it does not matter the outcome of the law is reasonable or not reasonable. Same example I have given you about the parking norms. Like if court has court interpreted that if a procedure of parking, if a parking law has been made by parliament by following a procedure, then it does not enter into the reasonability of law. So it was a very narrow interpretation in A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras case. Okay, now in second case, what happened? Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India. This is a landmark case in 1978. It happened, and what did happen? You have to understand some background behind it, right? In 1975, there was emergency, right? So fundamental rights were impacted of citizens, and there were in at that point of time there was growing concern over the violation of fundamental rights because of emergency happened in India during tenure of Indira Gandhi. Now in 1976, under Passport Act of 1967, Maneka Gandhi got her passport, and in 1977, at that time the government asked Maneka Gandhi to surrender the passport. Now Maneka Gandhi asked that why the government is asking to surrender the passport, right? And government, what does government said? Government said government stand was that in public interest, Maneka Gandhi has to surrender the passport. So Maneka Gandhi went to the Supreme Court, and she said that it violated her Article 19, that is freedom of movement. It violated her Article 14, right? Then Article 21 also violated. Maneka Gandhi argued it because government is not giving any reason that why she should surrender the passport. Okay, so court, while hearing this, Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India, said that government has no right to take someone's personal liberty or life by any arbitrary action. It introduced that if government wants to take someone's personal life or liberty, that process should be fair. that procedure should be fair. Procedure should be fair. So a little while ago, I have already told you that when courts interpret that procedure should be fair, this concept is known as due process of law. So we see that in Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India case, government said that procedure should be fair. Court said that procedure should be fair to deny someone's personal life and liberty. Is it clear to you? Now, in Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India case, this due process of law has been introduced, but at the same time, you have to understand, students, that India officially follows procedure established by law, but in spirit, we follow the due process of law. Okay, so this is about the Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India case. In previous case, A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras, the court took a very narrow view. It checked the procedure, but in Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India case, it said that procedure should be fair. So the scope of Article 21 got widened. Court took a very wide interpretation. Is it clear to you? Now, I have just explained you the same thing. The Article 14, 19 and 21. These form the golden triangle of India's constitutional journey. The intersection of these three articles is known as Article 14, 19 and 21 is known as golden triangle. I have explained you just a case like that when the court said that action should not be arbitrary, it should not violate freedoms, and it should follow a fair procedures. So these three articles in the Maneka Gandhi case came to known as golden triangle. Okay. Now, moving, just I have told you in the beginning of class that this article is dynamic in nature. This article is dynamic in nature. So when it is dynamic in nature, it means that it has evolved over a period of time. How it evolved through important judgments, we will see one by one these judgments. In Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India case, right to travel abroad came. We will see at a quick glance that how do these judgments broaden the Article 21. So in Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India case, right to travel abroad came into existence. Remember, when you are talking about the right to travel abroad, it comes under Article 21, but domestic travel means if you want to go to Chennai, Chennai to Noida, then it will be covered under Article 19 of the Constitution. But if you want to go from Chennai to Sri Lanka, right, it will be come under the Article 21. So right to travel abroad comes under the Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. So this came into picture from the Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India case. Right, students? Now, second case was Husainara Khatun versus State of Bihar. And in this case, what we saw that court said that right to speedy trial, not free, pardon, right to speedy trial is part of Article 21. Then in MC Mehta versus Union of India case, right to clean environment is part of Article 21. So you have seen in Delhi especially, like government follows odd even vehicle policies. Then in December, WFH policy has been formed so that people do not get exposed to the winter pollution in Delhi. So all the policies which have been made by government to protect citizens from the pollution of Delhi NCR, they have resemblance in MC Mehta versus Union of India case, because it ensures that every citizen has the right to live in clean environment. Is it clear? Now, moving towards the next, you have Unni Krishnan versus State of Andhra Pradesh, right? Right to education came into picture, right? That is Article 21A, and right to education to which age group? 6 to 14 years of the students, right? 6 to 14 years. It is the duty of government to provide right to education, and right to education only primary education, not higher education. Okay, so we see that how does expansion of Article 21 has been taking place, right? Then Subramaniam Swamy versus Union of India case, you have right to reputation. You have right to reputation. Then moving forward, we have a very landmark judgment, Justice K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India, right to privacy under the ambit of Article 21. Then Common Cause versus Union of India, Article 2018, the court said that death with dignity. So the scope of article is so wide that death with dignity. Article 21 not only ensures that when a person is alive, or she should have a right to live with dignity, but if a person has reached in a situation where he or she cannot be treated by a medical treatment available at present time, so court said that he or she should die death with the dignity. Court introduced the concept of passive euthanasia. Passive euthanasia means that if a person has reached in such a situation where there is no treatment available and he is suffering or she is suffering, then after a medical board can decide that whatever the support system that person is having, for example, he is putting on the ventilator, right, and he's in a vegetative state, means he cannot recover back, so that support system can be withdrawn so that the person die eventually, because suffering has to end, the death has to be in a dignified manner. So this article not only ensures right to live with dignity, but it also ensures that death with dignity. Then recently in May 2026, it has said Save Life Foundation versus Union of India, right to trauma care. So right to trauma care means in emergency services, whenever there is a medical emergency, so no hospital, government hospital can deny that trauma care cannot be given when, especially in the during the golden hour, right? Then coming to the point, this Manyar Ilyas versus Sheikh Riyaz Ayappan case, in this case court has expanded again the ambit and included right to walk on demarcated footpath as a fundamental rights. So we saw that how does the expansion of Article 21 took place, and now coming to the current affairs part of this session, that is Manyar Ilyas, the recent judgment that has included right to walk as a fundamental right. Okay, now I have already told you about these rights, that what is the scope of Article 21, right to travel abroad, right to livelihood, then right to shelter, right to health. You have Ayushman Bharat. Government try to ensure the schemes that are in sync with the fulfillment of these rights, right? Then you have right to free legal aid, national NALSA authorities have been created. Then you right to speedy trial, right to reputation, right to insurance policy, Ayushman Bharat 5 lakh insurance it provides. So all these things are under the Article 21. Now in this case, what does court has said, just first understand the background. There was a 5-year-old boy that was hit by a lorry in Karnataka, and as a result a bench of justices P. Narasimha and Atul S. Chandurkar, they were hearing a petition of the victim, and as a result, what was the petition? Petition was regarding compensation given to the victim family, right? That 5-year-old boy got hit by a truck as he was walking on a pavement. So this justices P. Narasimha and Atul S. Chandurkar, they gave a verdict that 5 lakh compensation should be enhanced to 11.5 lakh. At the same time, what does these honorable justices said, that enhanced compensation is not enough. Right to walk on a pavement, right to walk on a footpath is inherent in Article 21. Just by giving compensation is not enough. They included Article 21 under right to walk under Article 21. And they also said that right walking supports freedom of expression, Article 91A, 91B, right to assemble peacefully, then right to form associations, right? And court also said that right to walk is the simplest activity a person can take. What does court said? The court said that it is the simplest activity a human being can take. Further, court said that walking has been part of historical movements in India. You know well about the Dandi March and many other other key events such as Dandi March and other events in which walking has been a way of expressing protest against the government. So court has been saying that Article 21 is right to walk has been under right to walk is fundamental right, number one. Number two, it is simplest activity. Then court says that it has been a part of traditions, historical tradition. The court quoted Dandi March. Then court also suggests, give some facts that why pedestrian rights, right to walk on a demarcated footpath is necessary. You can see the data that in 2015 1,46,000 deaths happened, and out of this 13,894 were pedestrian deaths. If you see, this pedestrian deaths have been on the rise, and in 2024 the data says from 13,000 to 36,000. So the court supported that why right to walk is a fundamental right. It said that the pedestrian right should be recognized in the light of these data. That is quoting about the deaths of citizens, those who are walking just on the footpaths. What are the court observations said? The court said that there is a Motor Vehicle Registration Act, Motor Vehicle Act 1988, and court said that it mainly focuses on the vehicles rather than human safety. It just focuses on the one part, that right to drive. Motorists only have the right to drive on the roads. It does not recognize about the pedestrian rights. So court said that pedestrian rights remain secondary. Then footpaths as a common resource. So court compared it to the treasury of commons. It said that everyone's responsibility is no one's responsibility. So what is treasury of commons saying? It shared resource get degraded when everyone uses it, but no one takes care of it. So footpaths are like this. Everyone uses it, but no one takes care of it. Like, because we do not have a dedicated law regarding we do not have pedestrian rights. So when rights are not there, obviously authorities like municipalities, they do not pay attention. Then court said Article 39B, community resources must be distributed to promote common good. So what does court said? That planning should be there, balanced planning should be there by government, and roads and footpaths should be off for equal use for pedestrians as well as vehicle users. It should not be only belong to only motorist, right? For example, Motor Vehicle Act 1988 focuses more on the it does not focus upon the pedestrian, it focuses just on the vehicles. So it should not be the case, because roads are public sources, community sources. Then court also said that urban development authorities, municipal corporations, they should ensure that footpaths should be in a situation where citizens do not have danger of getting knocked by a vehicle. What are the issues highlighted by court for the pedestrian rights? It said that we do not have a dedicated pedestrian law. So in the absence of law, we do not have if we do not have law, so what it mean that if law is not there that is dedicated to pedestrian rights, so we do not fix the accountability, who is responsible for maintaining the footpaths. Poor infrastructure is there, because there is no law, so obviously government authorities do not show that inclination to improve the footpath infrastructure. Then pedestrian rights awareness is not there in citizens. Then last, government court said that post accident compensation. Court said simply that when someone gets knocked down while he was walking on a footpath, government should not just get away by giving some post accident compensation in the form of 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs or 5 lakhs, right? It should ensure that long term improvement should be implemented for safeguard of pedestrians, and that is possible only, court said, a dedicated authority should be launched. And court compared it to right to education. Court said that when right to education came into existence, government implemented through right to education act, means a dedicated law was made. Dedicated law was made to implement right to education. So in the similar manner, court gave a blueprint to the government, the way you have implemented right to education by having a dedicated law, right to education act, you should bring a law in the parliament that ensures that right to walk has statutory backing. And as a result, when right to walk will have a statutory backing, all the authorities, all the local authorities, panchayat, municipalities, they will come into action, because already there is a law, the government has put a law in place. So that's it for this topic. We will have, before concluding this topic, a practice MCQ and one main answer, one mains PYQ. We will see that how does article 21 have been asked in mains examination. So first is, consider the following statements about the evolution of article 21. First statement is, AK Gopalan case interpreted article 21 narrowly. Second is, statement is, Manka Gandhi case established that procedure must be fair, just and reasonable. And third, the Supreme Court rejected any connection between articles 14, 19 and 21. So on the basis what we have discussed, you can easily figure it out the answer, that in first statement is right, because AK Gopalan case article 21 focuses only on the procedure part, right? It does not went into the reasonability part. So first statement is right. Second is, procedure must be fair, just and reasonable. This clause was inculcated in Manka Gandhi case, right? So you have seen that this statement is also right, and I have told you about the concept of golden triangle, right? So these articles are interrelated, and Supreme Court acknowledged it, that article 14, 19 and 21 are interrelated, they are not separated, they should not be viewed in a separate manner. So as a result, article statement 3 is wrong. So your right answer would be 1 and 2 only. Then in mains, you have two questions about right to clean environment. I have already told you, in our right to clean environment comes under Article 21, right? They have asked in mains in 2015. Then right to privacy has been asked in 2024. So this topic is important to you. Not only it was in news because of right to work is news has been right to work has been added as a fundamental right, but you have seen that how does this is one of the favorite part of UPSC mains examination also. Then practice question, what we have discussed in today's session, that is question says judicial recognition of right to work has expanded the scope of Article 21, right? Analyze the role of judiciary in protecting socio-economic rights. So in introduction, what you will write that Article 21, what is Article 21, right? Article 21 introduction, you will write that this article, what does it mean, right? You will write Article 21 subject matter, what does it say? Then court says that analyze the role of judiciary. So role of judiciary, I have already told you, role of judiciary will come in the body part of the answer. And role of judiciary, there are so many judgments which we have discussed, like Menka Gandhi, then Husainara Khatun, then K.S. Puttaswamy. So these are the role of judiciary, that how does the Article 21 scope got widened through important judgments, right? Then in the introduction has happened, body has happened, then conclusion you will write that in light of right to walk, right? So conclusion should be very balanced, that pedestrian rights as well as motorist rights, there should be balanced planning. There should be balanced planning. So this way I have given you about the approach, how to approach this question from mains point of view. So this is all for Article 21. Hope you have made it, hope the concept is clear to you. In the next class, we will discuss some other topic. Till then, take care.